Good morning. How is everybody today? Good, I hope. Today, we're going to continue with our world building. I might actually get around to talking about why the song that I've mentioned has inspired me for this. So just a bit of a recap. Yesterday we discussed the physical world, or worlds, because the system that we're looking at has a pair of worlds which kind of operate on a cycle of meeting and then drifting apart, meeting, drifting apart, so that every 20 years you are actually able to move from one world to the other. Trade exists back and forth between them, etc. So you have almost this kind of symbiotic link between them. Now, what I'm going to do now is focus down onto one of the two worlds, Tarmor. Now, Tarmor is the larger of the two worlds. It is also going to be the site of probably most of our characters' origins. Origins being a key word. There is a country on Tarmor called Aranas, which for hundreds of years has been ruled by a line of fair and just kings. The culture is very honor-based, very kind of early medieval Europe, or England even. If you're looking for kind of a comparison in books, go for Dragonlance's Solamnia. Down to the fact that there are even the Order of the Knights of Aranas, which I have based on the Knights of Solamnia. So you have this kind of very noble, very honorable, very just and fair society, which is prepared for war if need be, but which has been at peace for a very long time. Now, that's not to say that there have not been attempts to break that peace. This world actually is going to have a almost a cyclic. A lot of things that I'm working on with this world fall into cycles. Every 20 years, the worlds meet. Every 10 years, the tide flash comes. Everything comes in cycles. Now, this world has an Underdark, in effect, beneath it. However, in this instance, this Underdark area is referred to as the Necropolis, and it is filled with undead. Now, the undead, a lot of the time, bearing in mind that because of the world, the way that this system is set up with two suns and the world's orbit, there is about a quarter of the year where the days are 24 hours long, meaning there is no night. It is daytime all the time. So things like vampires at that point could not even dream of coming to the surface. But what that means is that you get these kind of annual migrations or invasions of undead during the dark times, when they try to invade and they try to conquer and they try to pillage and take. So that primarily was one of the jobs of the Knights of Aranas, was to defend against things like that. The heroes of Aranas that we will talk about are primarily heroes by defeating undead and demons and monsters that happen to invade. The actual human population, or elven, dwarven, whatever, they are actually fairly stable. They're not at war with each other very often. It is more the civilized races versus the things in the dark. So yeah, you've got Aranas, you've got the Knights of Aranas, you have the king, and everything seems good. Until one day, basically people wake up to news that the king is dead, and the emperor will be taking the throne. Now, this makes no sense, because the king had a son, and if the king was dead, then the prince should become the king. There was no kind of invading army, there was no war, there was no basically they just got told the king is dead, bow to the emperor. Out of nowhere. And anyone who questioned this disappeared. A few days passed, and they were told that the emperor was to arrive. They still weren't quite sure where he was arriving from. They weren't sure who had delivered the message if he wasn't already there. It was all very much confusion. And it also so happened that the emperor coincided his arrival with Worldmeet, the day when the two worlds come into view of each other, and things can cross between one and the other. So Worldmeet, the emperor arrives. All of the heroes of Aranas, all of the people who fought for and were friends with the old king, have realized now that something has gone very wrong, and that somehow they've been beaten without a fight, which is very concerning for people like this. But they realize that at this point they're fighting a losing battle. They've seen the enemy and realized that they cannot defeat it. And so they set a plan in motion. Most of these heroes are, in effect, retired adventurers. They're not like active questing adventurers at this point. Most of them have settled down. Most of them have families. So they do the only thing they can think of, and they try to protect their families. They attend the Emperor's parade. They watch as this seemingly knight in black armor studded with gold marches through the town with his army of, again, black armored knights, all of their armor with this kind of fierce hunting wolf motif to it. And they realize that these enemies are beyond them at this point. So they meet up together in a kind of off the beaten path part of town after the parade. Excuse me. Yeah, they meet up in this kind of off the beaten path part of town. They're children who know each other. I mean, these people are friends. They have been together for years. Their kids know each other. Their kids normally play together. Well, when they're all in town at the same time. They travel a lot, so, you know, they're not always playing together, but enough that they know each other already. And they talk, and they come to a decision. And then they take action. And that night, all of the children are spirited away from Tarmor and from the city of Skyhaven and from their lives as they know them. And they are divided up, and they are sent away, and they are hidden. And they go into hiding. They put a plan in action, and then they go into hiding. And that scene that I've just described is one of the big points that's set up by the Black Parade, which, as I mentioned yesterday, is the song that kind of initially sparked this idea in my head. So we have this Black Parade, this evil emperor. Hold on. Sorry about that. Phone call. Not work this time for once, though. My wife. Might as well be work. So where were we? Yeah, the Black Parade. The song, obviously I'm not following the story of the song exactly, but the idea of the parents taking the children to this Black Parade, this event that you would almost universally think should be a good thing, a parade, but that isn't. It's a dark version of that. You know, this conquering emperor arriving. And the challenge that's given in the song is also something that I'm incorporating into the game. The question that the song poses to the child, you know, will you grow up to be the savior of the broken, the beaten, and the damned? Will you defeat them? This kind of imagery of, will you grow up to be a hero? Will you grow up to fight? Now, I know the psychology of this song actually points in a little different direction with some of this, but I'm going just with the imagery and with kind of things that it evoked and inspired. So, we have all of these children attending this Black Parade, this dark event, and then being charged to go off somewhere else into hiding, but to remember that at some point, someday, they are going to be called on to be a hero. So these children have had a very heavy burden placed on them at a very early age. Now, some of them went off into hiding with their parents. Some of them were sent away by their parents. And we'll see how that plays out. Now, part of the background is that we are picking up the game 19 years after. 19 years after the parade. Now, also bear in mind that the parade occurred on Worldmeet, and they were moved from Tarmoor to Ranmoor. They were sent to the other world. Now, as we pick up 19 years on, the Emperor set his throne on Tarmoor. But the Lord of Ranmoor basically bows knee to the Emperor. He says, look, you know, I'll follow your laws. I'll follow your laws, and I'll send you taxes, and I'll do what you want if you kind of let me keep my throne and act like I'm still in power. What that means is that Ranmoor has declined, but not as severely as Tarmoor, which is directly under the Emperor's fist. Now, it won't come as too many spoilers with the black armored everything and all of that. The Emperor is an evil person, and he has put basically both of these worlds under an iron fist. If you mention the old king, you die. If you mention that the Emperor has not always been the Emperor, you disappear. If you talk about or do anything that he doesn't like, you disappear. If you worship any of the gods other than him, you disappear or you're executed. There's a theme. Basically, if he doesn't like you for any reason, real or perceived, you disappear. And if you disappear, you're usually executed. If it's something that he really publicly doesn't like, then you don't disappear, you're just executed. Publicly. Of course, the Knights of Aranas were scattered to the four winds. Many of them were hunted down and killed. The rest of them have basically gone into hiding. There are a very select, small group of knights who actually betrayed their oath and now work for the Emperor. Now, to all of the knights who are in hiding, they are the biggest enemy, the traitors. And of course, the traitors really want to hunt down the knights in hiding as a proof of their loyalty. The knights in hiding actually want to hunt down and kill off the traitors for being traitors, but they're having to do it in secret so that they don't get outed as knights. Yeah, so that's kind of where we are with the world setup. I might go into the characters themselves a bit more tomorrow, but I think that's good for today. So yeah, like, subscribe. I'll be talking about some more world building stuff tomorrow, leading into this new campaign. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you're enjoying the world building stuff, let me know. If you want me to get back onto random topics, let me know that too. If you have any ideas for topics, drop them in the comments. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow.